Good afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Frank Gaetano here, live from the Hail Palace with our daily hail forecast, as always sponsored by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor Show, and Atlas. The link to their Facebook page is going to be in the description to this video. We have another hail risk in the plains today. Hail and wind are both possible, but it's mostly in a rural area. Sad face. But we do have another risk tomorrow where Omaha could potentially get some severe hail or severe winds. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And then, as always, we're going to do our tropical update and show you where Fiona is forecast to impact in the next few days. As always, hopping right into our upcoming events, we have the OU. Oh, I did not update that. It's OU versus Kansas State, not OU versus Kent State. That's going to be next Saturday, the September 24th. Tailgate is going to start at 3 p.m. and kickoff is at 7 p.m. Our tailgate tent is next to the southeast entrance to the stadium, just south of Heisman Park. So it's OU versus Kansas State. Not Kent State. That's the September 24th, so make sure you come out to that. Free food and free beer. And then later on this month, September 27th through the 29th, we're going to be at the RCAT MRCA Roofing Conference. That's going to be in Fort Worth at the Fort Worth Convention Center, so make sure you come out to our booth and see us there as well. Yesterday's storm reports, we did have a little busier of a day yesterday than the previous day, but it still wasn't all that much. I believe we had 10 large hail reports and 10 severe wind reports, so not too much to talk about. A few of these are sub-severe, but it's a good scattering of reports going from the southwest towards the northeast through the southern and central plains. But it's not really all that much to talk about in terms of reports. We've been pretty slow on that front recently. Current conditions right now, pretty clear across the central part of the country, and we'll zoom right into our risk area today. And we do have some good clearing here in Nebraska and southeastern Wyoming for where we're expecting to see storms today, and they're going to fire later on this afternoon. Temperatures are not great there, though, only in the 60s and 70s, which is going to hinder some of the instability for the area and kind of temper those storms, I believe. But we are in the 80s here in the southern plains and in the southeast, so temperatures are rising as we head further into the afternoon. Moisture is a little bit better than what we saw yesterday, generally in the 50s and 60s here in the plains, and then we are seeing some 70s dew points down in southern Texas and 70s dew points coming back into northern Florida, where those were 60s dew points yesterday. So there's a little bit better moisture return going on across the southern part of the country. And I just talked about that instability with those temperatures. So this is our forecast instability. Not too much going on here this afternoon. You want to see those brighter colors to see that higher energy that's available for storms to become more intense. And as we move in through the night, all that kind of wanes, and we don't really see much instability going into tomorrow morning. But if we go into tomorrow, we're going to see those colors start to return right over Omaha. Here it is tomorrow afternoon at 5 p.m., right around when storms are supposed to fire between 5 and 7 o'clock. So we're going to see this go down, and that's indicating that those storms are using that energy. So around 7 o'clock, we could see storms firing right over Omaha, with potential for some large hail and some damaging wind gusts with more energy available tomorrow. Let's see what the future radar holds for today. First, though, I mentioned we see storms firing this afternoon just to the east of Cheyenne, and they're going to be pushing east through the afternoon into the evening. More storms firing in central Nebraska. We're looking at storms near Rapid City, North Platte, Valentine, Nebraska, and that's going to continue to push eastward into the evening and overnight hours, eventually weakening as we get further into the overnight hours. Potential possibility of some elevated storms popping up to the west of Omaha, but I generally don't think those are going to be severe going into the late overnight hours into tomorrow morning. Here's what that looks like. I have a risk from Rapid City down to about North Platte and then almost reaching Grand Island, but I think the hail risk will be done by the time we get to the Grand Island area. So eastern Wyoming, a low-end risk for Rapid City, and then a little higher-end risk for Valentine, Nebraska, and North Platte. going off of what that radar was showing, some isolated cells near those two areas. So moderate risk for hail up to about quarter size. I'm not even going to go $0.5 with those. Not a lot of instability in the air. So hail up to a quarter size is possible for those two areas. And like I mentioned, I do believe that hail threat is going to wane by the time we get to portions of eastern Nebraska. Let's take a look at what the wind risk looks like. I do have that extended a little further east as those storms are going to be pushing eastward. Again, not a really high-end risk, but I do have Grand Island included in this one as well as the other cities that I just previously mentioned. Now let's look at tomorrow's forecast radar. So we're going into the afternoon, like I mentioned. Storms firing around 7, 9 o'clock. This is a little different than it was shown a little while ago, but the last run had storms firing right over Omaha. I don't really think that that's not going to be the case still. You got to take all these runs with a grain of salt. So it's showing it a little bit further to the southeast now tomorrow evening with storms firing and then continuing to push eastward and southeastward into portions of southeastern Iowa. I don't think storms are going to quite get as far north as Minneapolis, so I did take Minneapolis out of the risk for tomorrow, as you're going to see right now. So a little bit of a smaller risk area for the hail. I have Omaha at a moderate risk for hail up to $0.5 size. That could increase tomorrow if we see better conditions and lapse rates, things like that. We could see some larger hail than that, but right now I'm leaving it at $0.5 size, moderate risk, and then Des Moines, a low-end risk for hail up to $0.5 size. And like I just mentioned, Minneapolis is now north of that risk area. I don't think storms are going to get all the way up to Minneapolis. Similar risk area for wind, kind of like today though, the wind risk is going to be a little further to the east into portions of eastern and southeastern Iowa before those storms tend to die off and weaken. Omaha, again, a moderate risk for those damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and Des Moines, a low-end risk for those damaging winds. So what about after that? Well, here we go. This is where we are right now for our storm system track. This is our jet stream. We do have a ridge here in the central part of the country, and that trough is starting to build in the western part of the country. We're going to run this through to tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to get to noon here and stop it, and that trough is still starting to build here in the west, and that ridge is still building over the central part of the country. Let's push that through, and then we have another shortwave trough that's going to be here on Sunday. So Sunday, I could see a risk going into the Midwest area, anywhere from Chicago down to St. Louis, with that shortwave trough and westerly winds in the upper levels, creating that lift for severe weather to happen if we can get the instability. We're going to push this through to Monday as well, and we see that trough continuing to build, but not really moving there in the northwest and western portions of the country as this ridge starts to really build here in the central part of the country. And it continues to stay there going into Tuesday as well, with another trough going through the northeast. So I think we could see risks on Sunday in the Midwest, and then again transitioning probably towards the east or northeast into the New England area. But right now I'm just going to stick with that one risk area here for Saturday. So I have Chicago in the risk. Omaha, you could stay in the risk right at the back edge of that if we can get some storms to fire there all the way down to just north of St. Louis. So that's what we're looking like for Saturday right now. I was supposed to say Sunday. Man, I'm out of it today. All right, so here's our infrared satellite for Fiona. Not looking quite as organized as she was yesterday, but still a tropical storm with winds up to 50 miles per hour. And we do see convection firing here along the northern edge of that as she moves towards the British Islands and Puerto Rico area. And we're going to show where she's going to go. So looking at tonight, 60 miles per hour is what the forecast is. We can see some more organization. I think that's possible. And going towards south of Puerto Rico by Sunday morning, 65 miles per hour is the forecast. And then heading towards the Dominican Republic, they're saying 70 mile per hour sustained wind. So that's just below hurricane force, but still a tropical storm looking at Sunday night, and then moving into Monday and Tuesday morning, 65 miles per hour. So they're expecting Fiona to weaken a little bit before reaching up to hurricane status. But make sure you stay updated with us. We'll keep updating you on Fiona as we get into the beginning of next week. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We are at Hailtrace for all of those. And if you want to get directly in contact with us, you can call us 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com or go straight to hailtrace.com to learn more about who we are and how we can help you. I'm meteorologist Frank Gaetano. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend.